You're sitting in the dark, headphones on, completely absorbed in the latest true crime podcast. The narrator's voice is like a whisper in your ear, drawing you into a world of horror and intrigue. But as you're listening, a chilling thought creeps into your mind. What if the killer is sitting right next to you, listening to the same podcast, and smiling? You're driving down a deserted road, the only sound being the soft hum of the engine and the occasional crackle of the radio. The darkness outside is palpable, and you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched. Suddenly, a news report catches your attention. A brutal murder has taken place in a nearby town, and the police are still searching for the killer. As you listen to the details, a morbid curiosity takes over, and you find yourself wondering what could drive someone to commit such a heinous crime. You start to imagine the scene, the blood-stained walls, the shattered glass, and the haunting silence that follows. The reporter's voice is like a siren, drawing you deeper into the mystery, and you're hooked. But as you're drawn into this dark world, you start to realize that you're not alone. There are millions of people just like you, fascinated by the true crime stories that dominate our airwaves. But what is it about these stories that draws us in, and what are the consequences of our fascination? As you delve deeper into the world of true crime, you start to notice a disturbing trend. The more you learn about the perpetrators, the more you realize that they're not just mindless monsters, but complex and calculating individuals with a twisted sense of purpose. You start to wonder what drives them to commit such atrocities, and whether it's possible to identify the warning signs before it's too late. The more you learn, the more you become obsessed with the psychology behind these crimes, and the more you start to question your own morality. You start to see the world in a different light, as a place where evil lurks in every shadow, and where the most innocent-looking person can be hiding a dark secret. The lines between good and evil become blurred, and you're forced to confront the darkness within yourself. But as you're drawn deeper into this world, you start to realize that you're not just a passive observer, but an active participant in the true crime phenomenon. You're contributing to the ratings, the downloads, and the endless discussions about the latest cases. But are you perpetuating a culture of morbid fascination, or are you simply trying to understand the unknown? As you continue to explore the world of true crime, you start to notice the impact it has on the families of the victims. The constant media attention, the endless speculation, and the morbid fascination with the perpetrators can be devastating. You start to wonder whether the true crime phenomenon is exploiting the suffering of others for the sake of entertainment. You start to question the ethics of the true crime industry, and whether it's possible to balance the need for justice with the need for sensitivity and respect. You start to see the human cost of these crimes, and the long-lasting effects on the families and communities affected. The more you learn, the more you realize that true crime is not just about the perpetrators, but about the victims, and the impact that these crimes have on our society. But as you're investigating the true crime phenomenon, you start to realize that you're not just a neutral observer, but a participant in the debate. You're contributing to the discussion, the speculation, and the endless analysis of the latest cases. But are you helping to bring justice to the victims, or are you perpetuating a culture of voyeurism and exploitation? As you dig deeper into the true crime phenomenon, you start to uncover some disturbing trends. You realize that some of the most popular true crime podcasts and TV shows are not just entertaining, but also influencing the way we think about crime and justice. You start to notice that some of the perpetrators are being glamorized, and that their motivations and actions are being romanticized. You start to wonder whether the true crime industry is perpetuating a culture of violence and aggression, and whether it's contributing to the normalization of deviant behavior. You start to see the true crime phenomenon as a reflection of our society, and the values that we hold dear. But as you're exploring the true crime phenomenon, you start to realize that nothing is as it seems. The lines between reality and fiction are blurred, and the truth is often distorted or manipulated. You start to question everything, including your own perceptions and biases. But as you're trying to make sense of the true crime phenomenon, you're faced with a haunting question: what if the truth is not what you think it is? As you continue to explore the true crime phenomenon, you start to realize the impact it has on our society. You start to see the true crime industry as a reflection of our values and attitudes towards crime and justice. You start to wonder whether the true crime phenomenon is a symptom of a larger problem, or whether it's a contributing factor to the normalization of deviant behavior. You start to question the role of the media in shaping our perceptions of crime and justice, and whether the true crime industry is perpetuating a culture of fear and anxiety. You start to see the true crime phenomenon as a complex and multifaceted issue, with no easy answers or solutions. But as you're trying to make sense of the true crime phenomenon, you're faced with a haunting reality: the true crime industry is not going away anytime soon. The demand for true crime content is insatiable, and the supply is endless. But as you're contributing to the demand, you're forced to ask yourself, what is the true cost of your fascination with true crime? As you reflect on your journey into the true crime phenomenon, you start to realize that the truth is complex and multifaceted. You start to see that the true crime industry is not just about entertainment, but about our collective fascination with the darker aspects of human nature. You start to wonder whether our fascination with true crime is a reflection of our own darker impulses, or whether it's a way of confronting and understanding the unknown. You start to see the true crime phenomenon as a mirror held up to our society, reflecting our values and attitudes towards crime and justice. But as you're trying to make sense of the true crime phenomenon, you're faced with a haunting question: what does the future hold for the true crime industry, and what are the implications for our society? Will we continue to be fascinated by the darker aspects of human nature, or will we start to look for answers in a different way? The truth is, we don't know what the future holds, but one thing is certain: the true crime phenomenon is not going away anytime soon. And as you're contributing to the demand, you're forced to ask yourself, what is the true cost of your fascination with true crime? As you're finishing this video, you're forced to ask yourself, what is the true cost of your fascination with true crime? Are you contributing to the problem, or are you just a harmless bystander? The truth is, we don't know what the future holds, but one thing is certain: the true crime phenomenon is not going away anytime soon. So, like, comment, and subscribe for more true crime content. But as you're doing so, remember, the truth is not always what you think it is. And the true cost of your fascination with true crime may be more than you're willing to pay.